again, and welcome to this episode of Chatting with the Lightkeeper. I'm Edward, and this little episode lately, I know it's something that we've talked about on the podcast before, but it just sort of seems like this topic keeps coming up in conversation. So maybe it's a sign that it's time for another voyage down podcast lane for this subject. And then the subject at hand is navigating the lifestyle community. And especially if you're new, it can probably feel daunting. There's so much. There's different ways. There's online, there's in person, and there's resources and what's good, what's not, and how do you put it all together? So in this podcast, we're gonna try and put it all together for you. And if you're an experienced veteran, I hope that you'll find a nugget or two of wisdom in today's journey. So the first bit of navigating the community is why it's important to engage with the community. Because when we engage with the community, we obviously learn more about the lifestyle. Community engagement is great. I have been involved in the lifestyle for quite some time. And when I say quite some time, it started in my 20s, and I am now just over the 50-year-old mark. So that qualifies as quite some time. There was a brief sabbatical there where I tried to be the good vanilla guy. And yeah, well, I'm back. So that tells you how well I did at being a good vanilla. And, anyways, the community really helps with learning about the lifestyle, making connections, making friends. We can share experiences, and through shared experiences, learn from others' mistakes, others' successes, and share what we've learned with others. So they don't have to necessarily make the mistakes that others have made to have the successes that have come from those mistakes. Plus, the other great thing about the community is it helps you to feel more comfortable about your journey in the lifestyle because it is still something that it can be touchy. It can be hard to go down this road because society often says that something's weird about us who enjoy DS and all things related to it, that somehow we're weird, psycho, crazy people, and we're not. And the community allows us to have a place to go to talk to other normal people about the lifestyle. So it's really, really fabulous that we have the community. And finally, when you're ready, in the community is where you're going to find your partner. It's where you're going to find your dominant, your submissive, your switch, or, just your, kinky friend with benefits, perhaps. Whatever you end up seeking, if the community if DS is something that is going to be something that you want, it's in that community that you're gonna find whatever it is you're seeking, from knowledge to advice to the most amazing partner ever, is all going to come out of the community. So, it's really important that we engage in the community. So the first thing that I think everybody kind of goes through when they kind of come to the bigger online community, if you will, and I'm approaching this, just so everyone knows, from the standpoint like the majority of people do nowadays, where perhaps it all starts with a Google search, or you ask Siri and you start down the rabbit hole electronically. That's really how the majority of people do it. I know there are still some who choose to do the in-person route, but that is a smaller and smaller minority. So I'm going to just focus on the electronic version of it, because that's just how the world is working now. So, it starts with that Google search, or you ask Siri, or you ask Alexa, and you start down the rabbit hole. You start reading a couple articles. Maybe you find something on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you're at, and you just start consuming information. And one of the most overlooked, in my opinion, things where people, on their quest for information, that they overlook are books, good old fashioned books. Now, I am still a lover of having a book in my hand. There's something about the feel of it, how a book smells. Probably weird to somebody who doesn't read, but books have an alluring smell. If you are a book person like me, you get it. And if you are not, you are looking at whatever your electronic device that my voice is coming out of, like, oh my God, this person's crazy. But books, and they do come in electronic forms now. There are ebooks, so you don't actually have to purchase and lug around a book if you're not a book person. But there are a couple that I would recommend if you are newer. Um, Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns has been around forever, and it is fantastic. It's not a demanding read. It's fun. It's lighthearted. I believe Philip Miller is one of the authors, and I apologize. I know he has a co-author on this, and I can't remember their name. But if you Google Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, you are going to get it. The other one that I really like, really well, anything it's Dossie Easton. Anything that she has put out, and she also often has co-authors that do it. But there's the new topping book, the new bottoming book, and if you are considering poly or if you are poly, the Ethical Slut is fantastic, and Google or Amazon can be your guide. Those are fantastic resources. Another one is S&M 101 by Jay Wiseman. He has been around the lifestyle for a long time and is a well-known speaker, author, everything related to the lifestyle. In fact, you probably see his quotes pop up from time to time. So not only do you want to use your research powers and go through things, but often when we kind of start down that rabbit hole, we end up in places that yes, there are some good information, for example, on Reddit or subreddits, and over on FetLife, there can be great information on blogs, there can be great information, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media outlets have places where there's great information, and then there's places where there's not so great information. And if you're new, you don't know the good from the bad. So it's important to, rely on well-known, I guess you could say authors, presenters, to kind of get some of that base of information so you can start sorting the junk from the pearls of wisdom. And there are podcasts, obviously, if you're listening to this. Podcasts, like always, can be great. And truly, until you're more experienced, you could somehow think that I'm the greatest guy ever. But if you get more experience, you could find out perhaps that, the greatest guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I tend to think that I do, or I wouldn't be doing this. But yeah, it's one of those things where you need to do the research, need to do your homework, so you can have a broad base of knowledge. And that will help you as you go forward and start to interact with people, because really that's the point of all of this. We want to get to the point where you have a squad around you that you can go to. If nothing else, if they're not friends, they're good acquaintances that you can go to for advice and share experiences and all of that. You want to have a good solid circle that you can do. So that's kind of the goal. But to get there, this is what, start with some research. And then once you get a little research, and online is beautiful because we have the anonymity. We're not having to go out and see somebody face to face, but you can start to look at forums and blogs and perhaps chime in from time to time. And it can often be an intimidating step to take that first step to chime into a discussion. But that's how we learn, even if what we say isn't perceived well, um, or isn't like we don't, I don't know, somehow hit a home run with our first comment that we leave on a discussion with, so often we get hung up with how many likes or, positive reactions, whatever it is that a site offers. Sometimes we don't get, all that wonderful accolades, and we have to look at it that we're not doing this for accolades, we're doing it for knowledge, which means, we may not get all the likes that we want. Likes shouldn't really be a part of it. And as we get through this too, a couple of quick things. Make sure that you have solid boundaries. And what I mean solid boundaries is know what you're comfortable with sharing about yourself and what you're not comfortable sharing. And hold to that. Don't deviate from it, especially as you're getting started. It's okay to be vague. It's okay to just give your first name in the online world, very much that way, or even have a persona. If you're, you know, I don't know. I mean, I am Edward, but maybe if I was starting out today, I would say I was Edwin, or maybe play off my middle name somehow, so that way I could have some confidence and some anonymity, and I would maintain that as a firm boundary. And while I would have firm boundaries, I would definitely respect the boundaries of others that you run into in the community. And it is amazing because it is the internet how many people have issues with respecting the boundaries of others. But boundaries are very important in BDSM. So it's a very important thing to understand boundaries and to respect them, and also be aware that people do things differently. You may have done some research and find that what you think is going to work for you, and then you're going to realize that other people do things in a different way. Different way doesn't mean it's wrong. Different way just means it's a different way. So you need to be open-minded to understand that there are multiple approaches to the same end result. And also with that multiple approaches, different groups have different rules. So if you're in a discussion group or you're talking with somebody in a group, that group may have one rule and another group may have a different rule. So it's very important to be aware of rules and boundaries, and always try and communicate as clearly as you can. And also always be aware of what you share. Kind of think it as, if you're in the United States, you've probably seen every crime drama where they do that whole Miranda warning: anything you say can and will be used, and you have the right to remain silent, and blah, blah, blah. Well, kind of think of that too as online. Anything you share can potentially be used against you. So if you share a picture, once something goes out on the internet, it goes out on the internet. And another bit of advice about sharing and being cautious online and with what you share: make sure that you read before you let your fingers do the walking. Just this morning, I posted over on FetLife a little daily thing that I do, and it's right now I'm every day, Monday through Friday, working through a misconception that exist in the vanilla world of DS. Things that, if you went up to, Vince or Valerie Vanilla and said, "What do you know about DS?" These are the muckety muck things that they have been told or society has come to believe about DS that are untrue. And it's, here's the myth and here's the reality type of thing. And this person went completely off on me for supposedly saying things that I never said, because they saw two words in what I wrote, which set them off, and they didn't pay attention to the rest of it. And it wasn't me saying, "Hey, this is the reality and the lifestyle. This is just, here's a myth that's out there, and here's how I think that myth impacts the lifestyle." And wow, total crazy train departed the station. Thank goodness for the block button. Um, no matter what your experience level is and no matter where you are, if you feel uncomfortable for any reason, step away. Just step away, hit that block button, step away. And it's okay to take breaks. If you're exploring and life gets busy, take a break, step away. You can always pick up where you left off. There's no hard and fast rule that says you need to invest X number of hours per week or per month to your exploring. It's just what you're comfortable with. And as you're starting to interact with people through this process, they should understand that you have a life. And it's a red flag if somebody says, where are you? You haven't responded in 2 weeks, or you haven't responded this week. Now, to me, it's also different when somebody says, hey, I noticed you haven't posted or you haven't shared in the last week. Just want to make sure you're okay. That's the sign of somebody that actually cares versus somebody who's being an idiot because you haven't responded to their message. So yeah, networking is also key, and networking at this point doesn't necessarily mean you have to meet face to face. You can network, you can build friendships all online, and that's one of the beauties of the internet is we can make real life, real connections with real people that they have meaning, they have, they're impactful. It's just like meeting somebody really in person, minus the whole in person aspect, which is great because you can get to know and connect with people all around the world. And it's fantastic because it makes the lifestyle, I don't know, it makes the whole, I guess in a way, it makes the whole world a village. We can all communicate with each other pretty much wherever we are in the world, and build those friendships, build those relationships. And if you're new to the lifestyle, the one piece of advice I stress over and over and over, and please hear me out with this, is build relationships. And when I say relationships, it can be friendships, just an acquaintance, or just somebody that you have know has a trusted voice that you can go to for advice. Get to know people with a role that is similar to yours. If you're a submissive, make sure that you build a circle of submissives around you that you can go to for advice. Same if you're a dominant. Get to know other dominants. It seems to me that we are in such a hurry to hook up, if you will, that we don't build the like role connections, which makes people susceptible to getting taken advantage of because they don't have that network where they can go to and say, "Hey, this just happened. Is this normal? Does this normally happen as you get to know somebody in DS?" Or this person said this and it struck me as odd. Is it odd or is it me? And if you're just learning, having submissives, and you're a submissive to go to with that, it's great because it's not a position where they want something from you. For example, if you're a dominant and you have a question and you go to 3 or 4 submissives, perhaps, and I'm not saying this is the case, but perhaps one of those submissives has ulterior motives. Maybe they like you. So they may give you advice that would play into their hands, if you will, where if you're going to a like minded role person, they're just going to give you advice because odds are they are not looking for something more from you other than being an acquaintance or being a friend. So it's very important to attend and build the network of like minded roles. I'm not saying don't be friends with dominants if you're a submissive, or if you're a dominant, don't be friends with submissives, or if you're a switch, don't befriend either dominants or submissives. But just build a group that you can go to for advice, and especially a group of like rolled people. It really will be very helpful rather than going to a dominant for advice. For example, when a submissive comes and asks me for advice, all I can share is my perspective. And everybody in the lifestyle practices and views things very, very individually. So I can only share how it makes, my reaction to it as a dominant, how I would react if it was me. And it's not me, it's them and this other person that I probably have never met or heard of. So my reaction would be different, where another submissive could say, hey, I went through something similar, or hey, I know so and so, and they had a similar experience. In fact, I'm friends with them. Let's kind of conference them into the discussion. So it works out really well if you build like rolled friends. And especially, for example, if you are approaching this as if you're a couple, if you're approaching it with your significant other, it's great to meet other couples in the lifestyle. You can share how it all flows with your existing coupled relationship and how it enhances it and how it makes it better. So it's important to look for people that are coming to the lifestyle from a similar background as you and looking at the similar roles. And also, it's very intimidating, but don't be afraid to actually meet people. And when I say meet people, I don't necessarily mean, hey, let's FaceTime tonight, or let's Skype, or let's Zoom, or all those other, electronic ways to meet people. But don't actually be afraid to go out when you've built your own comfort level and you have a base of knowledge. Get out there and actually meet people in your local area that are kinky and in the lifestyle. There are these wonderful gatherings. They are called munches. Um, a munch is typically something that is, it always cracks me up to say munch. I don't know. The word itself makes me laugh. But they're held in public places. They are not held in a sleazy, dank basement. They are just a social gathering of kinky people. When I used to host a munch, it was held in a bookstore. And they had I guess you could call it it wasn't really truly a second floor, more like a little loft. And you could reserve the loft. And it was separated from the general public. So there was some, everyone felt comfortable talking about anything from the weather to the lifestyle. And it was also in a public place that was busy, well lit. The parking was well lit, easy to get to, easy out of, where it was a very nice, safe place to do it. And munches like that exist all around the country. You think that you live in a place that's too small to have one, you'd be surprised. Uh, the best place that I know of to find out about in-person gatherings is over on FetLife, and it's one of the tabs at the top, and I can't remember if it's called events or whatnot, but you can choose the mileage from your wherever you live, and you can see what's going on. And you can see the whole list of kinktastic adventures that are happening in your neck of the woods. You could see, it always cracks me up if you remember the movie Old School, but, somebody may be hosting a gangbang. And I just have visions of that in the opening bit of Old School where the guy, has a knock on the door. He opens the door and the guy's like, "Hi, I'm here for the gangbang." So anyways, you can see things from like that to what they call play parties, which is where kinky people get together, and it's a private setting where, you know, lifestyle play happens. Um, and then, there's anything and everything in between. But munches are ideal to meet people in person because they are in that public restaurant, that pub, coffee shop. Uh, I occasionally enjoy a nice cigar, and I have yet to make it because it just hasn't aligned with my scheduling god or goddess, whatever power that is. But there's a munch that gathers in a cigar bar in my neck of the woods. Well, kind of, sort of, if you can call an hour and a half away neck of the woods, I guess we can. But I would love to attend that, have a cigar and kinky conversation. Be fantastic. I think, at least. I just hope that, scheduling allows. But it's great to eventually get out there and meet other people in real life about the lifestyle. And when you meet people in real life, you don't have to like give them your whole rigmarole rundown um, of things. But, it's okay to say, if I met somebody at a munch, I would introduce myself as Edward. I wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm the light keeper." There are people that will say that. It personally drives me batty. I also understand that people are always not comfortable sharing anything, and that's fine. It's a personal pet peeve, and we all have them. If I'm going to say I'm Edward, you could at least say you're Bob or Jim. I'm not asking where you live or where you work or, if you're married and how many kids you have. I'm just saying, hey, I'm Edward and you are, and they're like, I'm Sir Spanks a lot. "Hmm, Okay then. Nice to meet you. Thanks a lot. And, but it's whatever people are comfortable with. So sorry, just a personal pet peeve. It's one thing to say, I'm I'm Edward, I'm the light keeper on, Fat Life, or, I'm this or that. It's people do that all the time too, so that if they, if you want to, you can, I guess, see their virtual lifestyle presence, if you will. But munches are fantastic, and if your goal is to connect and make friends and explore the lifestyle, eventually there comes a point where you're going to have to, not have to, you're not going to have to, but it would behoove you to actually get out there and have some in-person interactions. And in many communities, even in, I guess, depending on where you are on the political spectrum, since for some reason I don't understand why, but this is a hot button topic. But many munch groups, even in this area where I am, which is where I actually am away from the big city, very COVID aware. There are still, still masking, which if you're a little nervous about meeting people, hey, a mask is a great thing to hide behind. You're actually wearing one, rather than just wearing having to mask what you share and whatnot. You're actually wearing a mask. So it's still, it's very refreshing to see that the community is so careful, which makes sense. I mean, prioritizing consent and all of that good stuff. It makes sense that as a community we would be health conscious as well as consent conscious, because I don't think anybody consents to contracting a virus, if they can help it. Um, but I guess there would be that one person out there who would say, "Yeah, sign me up for that." And I guess that brings up the next bit, and that would be safety. Always be safe. Always prioritize your safety. And it's so important to prioritize your safety because the only person out there that can keep you safe is you. It's not, you know, up to the host of the munch or the host of the online forum to keep you safe. It's up to you to keep yourself safe. Remember, bad things do happen to good people. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously a good person, because no bad apples would ever listen to this podcast. So first of all, you're a great person for listening. But unfortunately, bad things can happen to you. So it's important that you understand how to keep yourself safe, and using just basic standard safety protocols like you would if you were going on a date with somebody. When you're doing anything regarding to the lifestyle, have a safe call, have a safe text. Even though it's all done in public, let somebody know, call somebody when you get home. Just all the basic safety protocols you need to put in place, and it's just for your safety. And these are things that really we should be doing anytime we meet people who are new, not just kinky new to us people, but anytime we meet somebody new, we should have these protocols in place and follow them. We often don't, because we think it can't happen to us, or it won't happen to us, or I live in a small town and this is a popular restaurant, it'll be safe. And yeah, 9 times out of 10, or 99.9% out of, or 99.9 times out of 100, it is safe. But we need to always make sure we practice our safety, because if we don't, that, one time will bite us. And just a couple other quick things about when you start moseying out there and meeting people. You can have amazing, amazing experiences right off the bat. A friend of mine went to their first munch this week, had a fantastic time. raved about how great the people were, how much fun, how much, it's been a stressful time for them. So the laughter, the fun, and the excitement of meeting new good people was really kind of just what the doctor ordered. Now, on the flip side, not everyone's first experience with meeting others in the lifestyle is going to be that great. Sometimes it may feel like you're that new kid at school. Maybe the munch has been going on for 20 years and there have been people that have been coming for 20 years and it's your first time. So you may have a little bit of that new kid at school feeling until you get comfortable. Or maybe you'll go to a munch and you'll discover that, the munch is maybe people that are more inclined to the sexual side of the lifestyle than the mental side that you're into, or various other things. Not every group is going to be a fit. It's kind of like shopping. You can think an outfit looks great, and you go in the room to try it on, and you look in the mirror, and you're like, ugh, nope, this doesn't work. And finding your group, finding your clan is going to be like that. You're going to find some great people. You're going to bump into some people that are not so great, and every step of the way is a learning experience. So just be open-minded and understand that not everything is going to be peachy keen, but you are going to meet some amazing people. I promise you that, because the lifestyle is filled with so many amazing, great people. So anyway, that's kind of a trip through the process of making and building your circle, and then actually venturing out and including people in real life from your real neck of the woods into the picture. So that's how you get from, boy, I'm curious about this thing called DS, to I found my home and I've made some amazing friends in the lifestyle. And out of those amazing friends is how amazing relationships are going to get born. So if that's what your goal is, then hopefully this little podcast helped you navigate the waters to get to the DS dating pool, or into the DS dating pool, where hopefully all goes well. And on top of that, I want to also mention that I have a little new venture going on. If you happen to follow my blog or follow over on Instagram, I do a thing called the Daily DS. They're short, they are 90 seconds or less, and they are just designed to be just short little things with a subject matter to make you think, which you can participate with or just think about and move on to the next one. Those are now all available in either podcast form, or if you listen on Spotify, it's actually it's a vlog. You can see me talking, or if you're on Instagram and you pops up, you can see me there. But right now, it's going through the 25 most held myths. Can't speak that out. Get the myth word out. It's a myth that I can't say myth. There we go. But the 25 biggest myths that vanilla people have about those of us in the lifestyle. So it's been fun and it's been exciting. And a new one of these comes out every Monday through Friday. And since they are in podcast form, you can find them wherever you get your podcast. And it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's the Daily DS. That's the easiest way to find it, the Daily DS. And the Daily DS presented by Chatting with the Lightkeeper is the long-winded hooah. But if you type that in, it will take you to them. Or, if you are on Instagram, just follow me there. I'm Chatting with the Lightkeeper. Or if you follow my blog on Tumblr, you see them every Monday through Friday there. So either way, you can follow them as a podcast, or on the blog, or over on Instagram. And I look forward to your feedback as I evolve those little 90 seconds or less. With the thing for me is the or less, because if you can't tell, I can kind of talk and kind of ramble. So keeping a subject to 90 seconds or less is a good, fun challenge for me. So I look forward to you joining me with that. So until next week, I want to wish everyone in the States a happy and glorious Memorial Day. And everybody else, have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.